Hello guys and welcome to my channel. So today's video is going to be a Halloween dinner idea. I'm making spaghetti and meatballs. Growing up we did this every Halloween night before we went trick-or-treating. Of course my grandma used a different recipe. I'm using a recipe from the Bits of Brie cookbook I have. I will link the cookbook down below as well as the changes I made to the recipe. I started with 1 pound of ground beef, added 1 egg, 3 tablespoons of parsley, 3 tablespoons of basil. I added 2 slices of bread because I didn't have breadcrumbs, 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, 2 tablespoons of milk, and some salt and pepper, as well as 2 cloves of minced garlic and 1 small onion, chopped up really small because my grandpa does not like big pieces of onion. So that's all I did for the meatballs, I'm pretty sure. And then I just mixed that up, and I did it by hand. I know that creeps some people out. It doesn't creep me out, so I used my hand. Okay, I just wanted to add in here, the reason I call this a Halloween dinner idea, other than because we did this every Halloween growing up, is because as a kid my grandma would color the spaghetti black. She would shape the meatballs a little bit more, or a little bit bigger than I'm shaping them for this recipe, and she called it worms and eyeballs. It's a really good way to get kids to eat something that a kid wouldn't typically eat, and it's really fun for Halloween. Of course, we knew what it was once we got a little bit older, but when we were really little, we didn't know, and we were more likely to eat it. And for Halloween, it's more fun, especially if you color the spaghetti black like my grandma did. It's just a nice change. And if you can hear that, my cat is banging on the door. So, yeah. And if I did not mention already, I will leave the changes I made to this recipe down in the description box, because I didn't follow the exact recipe because I didn't have all the ingredients. And yeah, I've been cooking long enough. I kind of know what I can mess with and what I can't mess with and still get a decent meal out of. Okay, so to start the sauce, you start by browning up 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. I just used the rest of the clove of garlic, not measuring, and added some olive oil. And then I rolled my meatball mixture into actual meatballs and placed it in the bottom of the pan and just browned them. And then after they were browned, I started the actual sauce, which I started with 2 jars of tomato sauce. One of the jars of the tomato sauce was homemade tomato sauce. So, yes. You don't have to use homemade. You can use 2 jars of store-bought. It says 3, but I don't think you need 3 jars. That's just my thought. And it wasn't really a full 3 jars. It was more like a jar and a half. Or a can and a half, technically, because I used 1 can of store-bought and then 1 jar, which is probably half a can, of homemade. Then I added in 1 can of diced tomatoes, and I measured out maybe like a tablespoon of parsley, a tablespoon of basil, and a tablespoon of oregano, because I didn't have Italian seasoning. And then I stirred that all together, and I let it simmer for 3 hours, stirring occasionally. And I stirred from the bottom to make sure I didn't break up the meatballs, even though some of them did get broken up just a little bit, but it's fine, it still tastes the same. Okay, so 2.5 hours into the simmering or cooking process of the sauce, I did add in 1 cup of this Parmesan and Romano cheese, and I eyeballed a cup and stirred that in and let that melt, and then I let that cook for an additional 30 minutes, and that's how the sauce thickens and finishes cooking. While I was doing this, I was boiling some spaghetti. I just used angel hair pasta because that's what I had. Okay, you don't have to serve this with a side, but I did decide I was going to make some of these mozzarella breadsticks that we had, just because why not? They're good, so yeah, get them out of the freezer. So I made those to serve alongside the spaghetti, and if you want to, you can call those bones if you're actually doing this for kids on Halloween. And this is what the sauce looks like after it's completely done. And then I stirred in the spaghetti after the spaghetti was done cooking. You don't have to do it that way, but because my grandma always stirred the spaghetti into the spaghetti sauce, that's how I like to do it. Okay, and this is what the finished plate looks like. I just plated up some of the spaghetti, put a couple of meatballs on top, topped it with some extra sauce, and served it alongside with one of those breadsticks. I tried to show you the meatballs on top of the spaghetti, and it just wasn't really working, but they're on there. And everybody raved about this, so if you're going to try any recipe, try this one. Okay, so that's going to be it for this Halloween dinner idea and recipe. Cook with me. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you've not done so already, hit the red subscribe button down below. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.